Hello everyone, my name is Marjorie Silkoff. I'm coming to you from the city of Montreal. I've been 14 years in private practice, working primarily with acupressure and traditional Chinese medicine dietetics. And I'd like to talk to you today about one of my favorite topics in normal times, which is the immune system. But I found that in this day and age, it's particularly important to know the principles of traditional Chinese medicine when it comes to boosting your own immune system, because as we're seeing with the coronavirus, some people are having very mild and moderate symptoms. It's very virulent, so it's going around, and so my aim is to try to help you understand some basic things that you might not realize could be compromising your immune system. We'll have you boost all of that up, and we'll go forward from there. So I guess the first thing I wanted to say was there's some common sense things that probably are things your grandparents told you to do. For instance, well, I know today is March, actually first day of spring. Happy spring, everyone. It's March, the snow is receding here in Canada, and today it's a particularly warm day, but if we have any days where there's cold and wind, I strongly recommend you still wear your hat and scarf out there, because if you get cold in what we call the surface up here in the head, that will definitely lower your immune system's ability to fight off anything else that comes. Obviously, I'm not going to have to reiterate what the Canadian government and governments across the world are telling you. Please wash your hands, wipe surfaces, and self-isolate as much as possible to prevent the spread. But there's more than that we can do. Keep your feet warm. Those lovely boot slippers that you can buy in Canada are the ideal thing to be wearing at home. For those of you who like to go barefoot, it's a really bad idea right now. Basically, we want the yang energy and the qi of the body to reach all the way to the feet so that there's no holes in your field where cold can penetrate. Because for us, cold will compromise the immune system. Another just completely common sense measure is please don't smoke or vape at this time. According to traditional Chinese medicine, the immune system, which we call the Wei Qi, lives in the lungs. And so any attack on the lungs right now is just a really poor idea. I understand some of you are addicted. Do your best to cut down as much as possible, and perhaps instead of taking a smoke break, try taking a breathing exercises break to just expand those lungs and build the energy in the lung as opposed to compromising them anyway. Okay, so that's the common sense part. The next part I want to talk to you about is particularly important in traditional Chinese medicine is the diet, dietetics. I think for right now, I'm just going to give you the advice, and if any of you want to know why that is in Chinese medicine, you can write to me separately. I'll provide an answer for you. So the most important thing I can tell you is please, under no circumstances, do not eat or drink anything cold, iced, or frozen in this moment. So ice cream is about the worst thing you can do for yourself. Again, we look at the body in terms of yin and yang, and it's the yang energy, that which keeps us warm and functional, is our immune system that's going to fight things off, and cold-natured foods and cold temperature foods are going to directly compromise your immune system. So please stay away from all of that. For your kids, you don't want to give them juice right now. Again, juice is very cooling to the body, and it's actually responsible for a lot of the ear infections and childhood colds and flus that we see. So please, instead, what would be much better would be to give them some tea. Warm tea, herbal teas, ginger, these are warming type drinks, and that's what should be going in them. Also, this is something probably you haven't heard before if you only come from the Western medicine point of view, but at this time, especially in Canada, don't eat raw foods. Cook your foods. And also eat local foods, so things that are locally available. So the fruits right now that are local to us in Quebec would be pears and apples, something that would have kept in a cold storage all winter. And better yet, to eat them cooked. Cook them in a pie, cook apples with your oatmeal. That's the way to ingest fruit right now. You could also have some dried fruits, but really, I would very much discourage tropical fruits, mango, papaya, even bananas at this time, although bananas are a little bit better than, say, blueberries, strawberries, because they're not locally available yet. And those foods have the energies to keep you healthy in the season. So for us here, the blueberries don't come out till summer, where it's very hot and we need to be cooled. Right now, we're still in the, well, now I guess the wintry part of spring. We still need to be warmed from the inside, so I wouldn't ingest any of that. Rather, what you can be doing is make yourself some bone broth soup. So chicken bones would go for 24 hours in the slow cooker. Beef or bison bones, pork bones, that would be more like 48 hours in the slow cooker. And I'm kicking myself because I had astragalus at home. Astragalus is a Chinese herb. If you get it in its raw form from Chinatown, it looks like a big tongue depressor. And you would put a few sticks of that in your bone broth, you boil it for all that time. The astragalus is immunotonic, so on top of the bone broth, which is also immunotonic, that would be an amazing combination. You can buy astragalus in its raw form in Chinatown. You'll get a big bag for about $15 if they have it in stock. Or at the local health food stores, you can get them more in little chips. So you put like a handful of the chips in with your soup. Okay. While we're talking about soups and stews are the ideal foods to be eating. Curries, stir fries, that sort of thing. So you don't want to have so much the poke bowls right now or anything too raw or cold or room temperature. You really want to be taking warm foods in. It's going to help build your immune system. We really need nutritionally dense foods right now. So what are those? The whole grains: oatmeal, brown rice, millet, quinoa, buckwheat, those. Meats. Vegetarians are going to have a little bit harder time with their immune system if they're living in a cold climate. If you're watching me from California, Florida, points south, it's okay. But here in Canada, at this time, with a global pandemic going on, I really would recommend taking some meat. And if you really can't, would you at least consider the bone broth soups? Onions, ginger, and garlic are immunotonic foods, so try to get them into your soups and stews and curries. And the legumes, also nutritionally dense, so peas, beans, split peas, chickpeas, those kinds of foods. They're going to really pack a power punch when it comes to nutrition. This will be controversial, but certainly in the healing arts, we would recommend avoiding dairy at this time. Dairy is inflammatory to the whole system, and what it does is it's a false alarm for the immune system. So the immune system is going to go deal with the inflammatory nature of dairy, and it's going to keep your protective barrier from being from working at its most efficient. So I would say for the moment, avoid dairy. And remember when I said before that ice cream is the worst thing that you could possibly do right now? It's because we have the iced, frozen nature reducing your yang, and then the dairy aspect, which is also inflammatory and, again, distracting your immune system. So I would say, for the moment, stay away from ice cream, anything iced. Also, hopefully you've heard by now the Canadian government has said to stay away from ibuprofen because for some reason it is causing the infection of the coronavirus to go deeper into the body. So if you haven't heard it yet, you heard it here, to please avoid ibuprofen. Okay, so that's the diet. Okay, on to lifestyle. Okay, according to Chinese medicine, the immune system lives in the lungs. I told you that already when it came to smoking. So practice your breathing exercises. And I would do it, I mean, it's a time where we're supposed to be self-isolating and you don't want to breathe each other's air anyway. So if there's a way you can just step outside on the balcony or the front porch, no one around, really what I call accordion breath. Really just expand, expand, expand on the inhale, contract, contract, contract on the exhale. Really get those lungs moving, get the qi moving in the lungs, build up your wei qi, your immune system in the lung. Also, if you go to YouTube and you search up Qigong for immune system, I'm just going to write down how that's spelled. We are here in lifestyle. Like this, Qigong for the immune system. You're going to find at least 12 to 20 little videos, anywhere from 5 minutes to half an hour. Why don't we all do one of those a day? Grab your kids, get them to do it too. If you can send them to your older parents who are in quarantine or self-isolation, send it to them, those who know how to use YouTube. It's an ancient practice that, again, builds the qi, and if you're building all of the qi, you are building the immune system. And these exercises that you find on YouTube are really specifically for the immune system. So you're going to see there'll be a lot of arm movements that they do. Again, it's just going to build that protective energy up here. Okay, let's talk about sleep. So according to Chinese medicine, the most restorative hours of sleep are between 9 p.m. and 12 a.m. And if you really never sleep at those times, you will eventually end up in deficiency. So for shift workers, it's very hard. But we're all on lockdown, there's no bars and restaurants to go out to anyway, so why don't you start living like the farmers do, go to bed at 9, which means waking at 5 would be natural and normal, and living in harmony with nature, and that's always good for the immune system. Also, the Chinese believe that attitude is everything, so try to keep a positive attitude. I know it's hard to say, don't really fear this, but do what you can to strengthen yourself. Laughter is wonderful for the immune system, so this is the time to get the kids to put on improv or watch your favorite comedians on TV. And actually they did a study that showed very clearly that watching disturbing and scary images directly affects the immune system, making it weaker. So of course I understand you want to stay informed, but I would say limit that. You're probably already feeling it in your bodies when it's time to turn off the news. You know, get your news once or twice a day, and fill the rest of your day with things you love to do. If you haven't pulled out your sketch pad in a while, or you haven't pulled out your guitar in a while, now's the time to do the things that feed your soul, because if you feed your soul, you feed your qi, and your immune system is stronger. Okay. Moving on to herbs. Oh, I misspelled it. There we go. So like I said, I forgot my astragalus at home. As of yesterday, I was in Branche d'Olivet on Sherbrooke, and it's a little bottle like this. They still had some astragalus in stock. I know some of the health food stores are sold out, but maybe you can go online and order some, or maybe you can call around to see who's got astragalus in store. So you can buy it either prepared in a tincture. Oh, sorry, just a quick word about Chinese herbs. If you're on blood thinners, just ignore what I say until I get to moxibustion, because you are not allowed to take you're not allowed to take Chinese herbs with blood thinners, okay? But for anybody else, and it's fine for the kids, if you buy it in tincture, just follow the package instructions. If you want to give it to your kids, no problem. You just look at the size of the kid. If the kid is 1/3 adult size, give a 1/3 dose. If the kid is 2/3 adult size, give a 2/3 dose. And I'm actually laughing at myself because I'm a very small adult, and so I'm kind of kid-sized, but I do take an adult dose. So I'm 5 feet. You can take an adult dose at 5 feet. Or like I say, you can put it in your soups. The astragalus, if you get it in that tongue depressor, this imaginary tongue depressor that I have here, put about 3 sticks of those. Or you can do the same thing if you're not making bone broth soup and just make a tea out of the astragalus. My friend tells me he doesn't like the taste of it, but you can put a little honey in it, so you can try taking the tea that way. Everyone has a cup a day of that, and that will go a long way to boosting your immune system. All right, what else do I have? Oh, reishi mushroom is another long-known Chinese herb. Oh, it's a food, actually, that is good for immune system. You can, hopefully you have some. If not, you see which Chinese pharmacies are open. And the health food stores also carry reishi mushroom. And my friend at Fleur Sauvage, Andrea, told me that there's a brand called Immune 7, and it's a blend of 7 mushrooms that she highly recommends. She said there's tons of stock, so those of you in Montreal, call up Fleur Sauvage, find your way there if you can get there safely. Also, I wanted to show you, again, I'm not sure who has Chinese pharmacies in their vicinity or in their cities, but I'm going to assume that some of you, many of you do. This is actually the same herb by 2 different companies. It's called Yin Xiao Che Tu Pei. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So this is something you would take at the onset of any cold and flu. And you can go just a little more aggressively than what it says on the package. Okay, if you have any questions, you can email me and I will answer those for you. And so that is, especially if you get it right at the beginning, this has an ability to kick it out. And this is, like I say, it's the same exact herb, but it's from a different company. And remember, if you are on blood thinners, you are ignoring everything I say till now. So we will move on to our next topic, which is moxibustion, or moxa for short. So this is a great way to build the immune system. In fact, I've always said if I'm only allowed one thing to do to build immunity, it would be with moxibustion. Again, you'll have to go to a Chinese pharmacy. I do have a reasonable supply, so if you're in Montreal and you want a moxa stick, email me. I'll have my email address written in the comments below, and I'll say it. I'll write it on the board after. So when you first get the moxa stick, it looks like this. It looks like a little coal stick. There are herbs inside, and the first time you use it, you can just light it, but then you're going to extinguish it, and by the next time you use it, you have to scrape the ash off of it like this. You see? Okay, now we're ready to go. You want to light it from a candle in a well-ventilated area, which actually I'm not in a well-ventilated area at the moment. Okay, so you don't want to do it from a tea light candle because it'll take forever and it'll drive you crazy. So you get a nice flame like that. And basically it's going to take 1 to 2 minutes to light. So scintillating television right now. Okay, and I hold it in the flame for about 20 seconds, then I do a quarter turn. I'm going to do that 4 times. Okay, now, contraindications of moxa. So please do not use moxa if you have a fever, if you're having hot flashes, if you have a headache. What else? Go look at your tongue before you do moxa. If you see that it is red in any way, or you have red eyes, red face, and a feeling of heat normally, moxa is not for you. But I'm speaking to the people of Canada. We live in a cold, damp climate, and I would say over 80 to 90% of our cases come from coldness and dampness, and moxa is really the best tool for that. Okay, I just did my little quarter turn there. Okay, sorry, arguably not the most interesting part of my exhibit here. Okay, now we're looking for a full red glowing tip. Okay, here goes another quarter turn. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that it's kind of smoking there.
Can I ask you a quick question about the astragalus?
Yes.
In the early part of this, you had said that you can put it in soup.
Yes.
Can that piece that you put in be digested, or do you have to remove it?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. No, you have to remove the astragalus woody stems. It really looks like bark. So yeah, you remove it to eat your soups or drink your tea.
Thank you.
That was a good question. Any other questions?
No, but I may want to see that label again, because when you brought it closer to the camera, it sort of went out of the light. Sure. It was a little dark, so I may make an adjustment for that.
Yes, I will do that as soon as I show you. Okay, here we go. So you can blow out your candle, and I'm going to scrape again, and then I'm going to show you. Can you see it's a full red glowing tip there? Okay, now I'm going to tell you which points, but first I'll show you how to do it. So I'm going to choose right now a point called large intestine 10. So it's here. You see I'm holding it just within an inch, okay? And I'm going to count to 5 or until it's too hot. 4, 5, okay? And I'm going to heat that point. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it was just too hot at the 5th count there. Here we go one more time. So within an inch, okay, 3 times each, okay, each point that I'm going to tell you. And the points are actually very easy to find. You want to do the belly button and the point that is 2 fingers below the belly button on the midline, okay? So you'll be, I can't do it now, I'm wearing my dress, but you can all pull up your shirts and your dresses, and you're going to do, so within an inch, 2, 3, 4, 5. On your skin, of course, not through your clothes. Okay, so you're gonna go back and forth 3 times each, and you'll do that daily. Now, when you're done with the moxa, you want to extinguish it. Okay, if you put it underwater, it won't relight. So here I have a bunch of ash built up, but what you can do is get a cup similar in size and put about 2 inches of salt in it so that you can just smother the flame there like that. Okay, and then I just close it up like that. Okay, so the moxa is now out. All right, so got it, the 2 points, the belly button and the point that is 2 fingers below the belly button directly on the midline. That's Renmai 8 and 6, also known as conception vessel 8 and 6. If you get confused, look up a map of the acupoints and you'll see it, okay? All right, and the last thing I want to tell you about are acupoints. Okay, so what I'm gonna teach you right now are the acupoints for preventing, for building the immune system. These are not the points you'll use if, God forbid, you start to show symptoms. If you start to show symptoms, email me and depending on which symptoms you're having, I will tell you which acupoints to press, because if you're in self-isolation and not feeling too badly off, you probably won't go to the hospital, you'll stay isolated, and I can help you find the acupressure points. Okay, so as preventative, I'm gonna just write the list down and you can look them up. I will show you, but it might go too fast, and so one at a time you'll be able to research these points. So I would recommend stomach 36, kidney 3 and 7, large intestine 4 with liver 3, oops, and lung 9, and of course the moxa on Renmai conception vessel 8 and 6. Okay, that is an excellent, just general tonic. You can do it every day. You press 3 minutes a point. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you these points if I can. Stomach 36 is a bit tricky to find, but it's basically 4 fingers from the knee, but just on the just lateral on the outside of the tibia, so around here. And listen, if you're within an inch of your acupoint, it's going to have its effect. Okay, so that's stomach 36. Next on the list, kidney 3. So this is the inside of my ankle. From the ankle bone, just dip directly behind, and that is kidney 3. Fingers up from that, and your finger will land in kidney 7. Okay, so it's 3 minutes each on those points. Large intestine 4, you probably know this one because it's the most well-known one about bringing a headache down. This is large intestine 4 here on the hand. And if you think about its equivalent on the foot, you will find liver 3. Okay, so its liver 3 is, if you go from the web of your toe and you move up just before you hit bone. So it's in this little well between the first and second metatarsal. Okay, right around there, but you can look up the location if you're confused. Oh. And lung 9, if you put your hand out straight, you are on the thumb side of the wrist crease. Okay, you kind of have to move it around. There we go. That's lung 9. There's a little dip, and that's how you know you're in the acupoint. Okay, so these points are really meant to build immunity. So let me give you my email address in case you need to contact me. info@starshinehealing.ca. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know if you have any questions, and stay well, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
And can we just have a quick look at those herbs again?
Sorry, yes, of course. So that's yin kiao.
Mm-hmm.
And same exact herb, but different company.
Thank you, Margie.